Hello everybody, and I hope you're doing well. It's hump day, it's the middle of the week in the world of Marvel Contest of Champions. Let's see what is going on. First of all, a Runways update is coming in 2 days time, or no, in 1 day time. Yeah, I think this might be because it's a lore corner, it might be something where they just, you know, Kabam Vincent is going over the actual story itself. We'll have to see. Will there be any kind of like spicy drops? No. It's a thing to watch. We'll see if it bears any kind of interesting fruit from it. In Trello board based news and information, well, last week, and as you know, they cover them a week later, just to kind of give you an idea of who and what is actually going to, or what is going to be fixed, or what's been noticed to be fixed. So the things under investigation at the moment is Sentinel specific buffs, Mutant Pursuit, Mystic Observation, blah 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 blah, are no longer working since it's his rework. High damage instant effects don't remove Captain Britain's safeguard effect. That's another thing that's been frustrating. Bastion's power reroute effect was measuring the opponent's starting combat power rate incorrectly. Of course, if you wanted to power control, this may affect how maybe the champion is seen as a power controller. We'll have to see. Or how he interacts with the power control, and again, it's another kind of a key thing. And I fixed the slide for Carolina, who incorrectly needed twice as many iridescent buffs to trigger glancing. So, good news overall for the things that are being fixed or on the bug list to be fixed as of last week. Of course, this week's will be then told next week on what's happened. Now let's talk about two big topics. These two big topics, number one will be Wheel of Fate, number two will be special champions, you know, from releases from Omega Days and other stuff like that. So let's start off with Wheel of Fate. Wheel of Fate has had some dialogue and response back from Kabam on will it actually change. I've had many people message me and say, do you think they're going to nerf Wheel of Fate? And every time I'm like, I just don't see them doing it. They're going to stick to their guns with this. And unfortunately, it does show the stubbornness of Kabam at times. I've been messaged today, yesterday, multiple days throughout this week by people that are saying that the same thing, like, it's not super hard content, it's just super restrictive, and it is, I keep using the same phrase, it is exclusive rather than inclusive. A good example being, I'm having an issue with it. I have all but I think 2 champions to make it easier or make it copeable. A good example is because I just recently got a 6-star Ironheart, it restricts my options for that particular. I think it's Dustfight. I think it is. I may be wrong with that. And I think there's one other one as well. I'm trying to find a capable option. Like a lot of the time, the Serpent Fight. I'm still toying with using Wiccan. I think Wiccan is going to be my only option to use. Not knocking it, it'd probably be fine, but everybody's using Spiral. Like it's coping with those fights, and that's again why we see about these restrictive elements. And yeah, let's see what Kabam have to say on it, because it's not about what I say, it's all about what Kabam says, it's all about what you feel as a community sentiment and stuff like that. So Kabam say, we don't ignore any feedback. We read everything and said on all social channels. Wheel of Fate has been out less than a week. At this time, there's no plans to update Wheel of Fate. There are going to be times when certain content isn't widely loved by the entire community. It has been received very well from a group of players that I expected to enjoy it. So again, Kabam proving the point. They're making content for specific player types. A certain percentage. Don't like this. Again, like, I don't like it when a point is proven. I also, same thing when it comes to what a point that I say. Like, believe it or not, I'd love to be wrong a lot of the time. And, you know, there are times I am wrong. There is this time. So, Kabam admit they've made it inclusive they've made it exclusive rather than inclusive. For some, but not for others. And might say, oh, get a bigger roster then, Rich. Yeah, I'm sorry I'm non-spending. I'm sorry I'm not able to get certain champions. Oh, I'm sorry, it's my fault then. Okay, right. Sarcasm, by the way, if anybody didn't realise. Yeah, so it's disappointing to read that from Kabam's perspective. I thought I'd wait a little while to see like what their general response was, and that kind of like is what I thought it was going to be. The reward side of things, because that still is a logical complaint, and that is, well, it's not as spicy, is it? So Kabam say this is a difficult one to answer. One thing to remember, that Epic was a conclusion of a year-plus long saga, Epic of Pain, and yeah, just I suppose with the Winter of Woes and all that stuff, that got boring after a while. I think that this content is fine. It's just the regularity of it being put out that will be another kind of interesting factor. And how Kabam say read the room, because a lot of the time they're not very good at reading the room. And who they build the same thing as well, who they build the content for becomes very much an issue. We're gonna have to see how that side quest event, realm event, whatever it's going to be next month, the fantastic recruitment, is going to be as an inclusive event. Again, we're talking inclusive. Well, what's an example of inclusive? Inclusive is everyone gets to play. Everyone gets to play that fantastic recruitment event, or force recruitment, or whatever it is called, next month. I agree with some more signature stones. Tier 6 basic, Tier 3 alpha would have been nice. There's a lot of Tier 6 class catalyst, Tier 4 alpha on the top of the 3 tiers, Tier 7 basic, along with all the crystals and the awakening gem in there. I've seen the feedback that the rewards could have been more evenly distributed, and that sentiment has been passed along to the team for the future. That's, of course, as a community manager, that's what you've got to do, and make a decision whether or not to back the community or back your own developer. Of course, there's still an apology about this whole situation around the selector. Mike, of course, made a mistake, and you've got to be so specific. The thing is, with MCOC, the community, you've got to be so darn specific on what is happening, could happen, will happen, what's in the rewards, because people will use that on an investment point of view, and also whether or not you do it day one and then realize at the end of it the selector wasn't exactly that selecty, and you're left disappointed by the end of it. And of course, going back to the topic of relevance around the rewards, Kabam Mike says making rewards relevant far into the future is also something that's difficult to consistently make happen. This is mainly because of depreciation. A Tier 7 basic was worth like 10 times as much as what it was in January of this year, and within, I think, 2 to 3 months, the value of being wiped off the face of the earth to the specific degree that I will have the equivalent to what cost $215,000 in December of 2024. That is ridiculous when you think about it, but it is a fact, and it actually happened. Maestro holds down the fort in Necropolis, but that isn't something that can be done in every quest. That's released especially as we're increasing the frequency of popping out endgame content. So Kabam confirmed there's endgame content that's coming out left, right, and center. Of course, trying to find the time to do it is another thing, especially around day jobs, looking after kids, and other stuff like that. If you've got any other interests as well, it takes a lot of time, to find enough time to do things like Battlegrounds and incursions, story mode content, endgame content, the works. And whether or not Kabam would kind of think about putting rare champions in the end of endgame content, I don't think it's completely off the table. I mean, I definitely don't think you're going to see an 8-star Maestro in the next one. That seemed completely ridiculous and kind of like off the chart. So on the subject of like sentiment and the pitch point of the actual kind of like mode itself, it's a bit of a tough one, isn't it? We look at like why some of the messages that I've received, okay, and Kabam will say, well, it doesn't reflect the entirety of the player base. Fair cop. But a lot of times you see when things regularly appear that people think and feel about the content, it's not something you ignore. And it's not something you then go, well, let's create more of that kind of content, because that obviously is what is working. It's like, people want stuff, now let's just not give them it. Let's do something different. Do something else. But, I mean, okay. Here's like a response from Kabam on that particular feedback stuff. of course, from YouTube forums perspective, which makes up 1% of the whole player base. I get feedback from more places than just the forums and YouTube content creators' comments. That's of course like Reddit and other stuff like that. This quest was made for players who built very expansive rosters, who enjoy challenging content, but is going to stretch those rosters thin. The majority of players who work here do not fit that bill. As I previously stated, it bums me out when people don't enjoy things, but not every piece of content is going to be universally loved by every subsection of the community. So I guess like, what is being built for? Is this people that have expansive rosters? Those that spent a bit and then they're able to kind of get the champions they require. Are they finding that this is aimed at them? Was it something like PvP content was kind of aimed at them? If you've spent a lot of money in game, you want to know you've got the best roster, the best ranked up champions, the furthest ranked up champions. Do you take that in Battlegrounds? Because that is the most quintessential, dick waving contest when it comes to the size of your roster. Is that it? Where are we going with content structure? What's Winter of Woe in all this? What was the big picture with Epic of Pain? Was Epic of Pain that content, the quintessential content? Are we going away from these kind of long fights, boring fights, people looking for the quick fights? What is being pitched? What is it? And I think Kabam struggle with that and go like, well, let's do a bit of content once a quarter that is specific to this section of the player base and the section over there. So again, goes back to inclusivity versus exclusivity. What's the medium here? Do you feel punished as a free-to-play player that you have to wait a longer time? And that theory that I said a little while ago was, are you buying time if you're a spender versus free-to-play who don't have as much time because, hey, time equals investment to get champions, other types of resources like units to buy in deals to therefore improve and take your roster further. There is a question right here, which is, would you prefer the rewards to be so great that you'll be left at a significant disadvantage for not doing it? Which, to be honest, that's what Necropolis was. That was what Abyss was. I think that's what, no, it definitely was what Epic of Pain was. Like, you felt disadvantages. But the way that Kabam look at what you'd interpret disadvantages is, well, your progress within the game, getting your first ever rank 4 7-star in something like, what was it, Epic of Pain. Becoming Valiant for the very first time required you to do Necropolis at 100%. Or buy a load of deals with units and do a completion Necropolis. Or what I did, which was in order to be Valiant, I had to 100% Necropolis. That's basically already happened in game, so I don't. It's a weird question. At the end of the day, right? Kabam aren't changing it. I admire Kabam for standing firm in their beliefs. I do think that they need to look at content whenever they're thinking of putting it out and just really ask or kind of figure out who they pitching the content for, right? And Kabam have in mind who they're pitching it for, but also the impact of what that could do to pee off people within the community, which of course they've done. Even more so because I feel that the situation around the selector didn't really help out. Refined XP not being within it, this kind of lack of endgame rewards feel to it. A few things with the kind when it comes to the fights, the long nature of the fights themselves, which you kind of hope that with quality of life improvements and as well the game's pitch to be more kind of quicker, faster pace. And maybe it's not. Maybe it's always meant to be this kind of like slow fight, slow and boring, which, you know, people have legitimate kind of issues with. Either way, what are your thoughts on Wheel of Fate? Let's move on to the next story. So now we're going to end on special champion release schedule. There's been there's a lot of questions on this. This is another tough subject because those that got some of those rare champions like a Mega Sentinel, Dark Phoenix, whatever, there's loads of them. If you wanted to have them stay exclusive, you'd want them to stay exclusive. You spent enough money in order to get them. You know, Heartfire, Mega Days, I'm just trying to think of some other examples. Maybe the Saga Chase. The difference is with the Saga Chase, I think that would be part of something. I'm just trying to remember back. I remember something being said in a live stream that some of the Saga-based champions would be potentially revisited to re-earn. Now, I don't know if that classifies for something like Mr. Sinister, Nightcrawler, the Magnetron Crystal opening. Do you remember when it was Captain Marvel? I'm just trying to remember some of the other ones. But some of those, you know what I mean, those lot. I don't know if those will ever get kind of like another opportunity or a rollback for it. And I thought there was something mentioned in a live stream. I mean, Kabam have said that the questions asked almost every day in forums. Yep, the first announcement of this will almost definitely not be in a stray forum comment. Which if they do it, it would be on something like a live stream. That's I think what they're saying, or some kind of big announcements with no plans currently to have those champions release. But also, you know, Mike says on your frustrations, champions aren't in the base pool. It seems like frustrations is causing my word to be interpreted in a way that isn't intended. It's like a bug. I know this isn't what you want to hear, but we aren't releasing them right now is a plan, and that's currently where things are with these champions. So they're not going to enter into the base pool, even though I know some people want to see them, which makes it tough as well if you're kind of looking for options for Wheel of Fate and having this kind of specificity around champions, which of course is an ongoing frustration. Anyway, the plan is not to release them in the base pool. In the future, that strategy might change. Additionally, if there's a current plan to release, say, Red Guardian to the base pool, you wouldn't be told 9 months in advance oh yeah, it was part of the Red and Dead. In a comment on the forums, bluntly, that isn't how marketing works. Yeah, and you probably get in trouble with marketing and legal for anything like that. Anyway, oh yes, that's it. I think this is in the write-up. I think we even kind of like put it in here that there was something that was mentioned about these previous champions. No, I couldn't see it anyway. Anyway, we're going to end the show there. What are your thoughts on some of the topics raised in the show today? Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you all soon. Probably doing a side quest week 2 video dropping later on. And yeah, have a great day and goodbye.